Hello YouTube, this is Asatsu5. Tried to film these two videos twice already, or twice or more, I can't remember. But I decided to separate the videos and try to make them shorter. But basically what happens is I go to Buffalo Wild Wings on UFC pay-per-view nights, I drink a lot of tea, I have a lot of caffeine, and I can't sleep, so I make vlog videos. And I thought the vlog video that I want to do tonight, or this morning, however you want to say it, is my shift in philosophy of knife, the shift in my philosophy on knives, specifically self-defense knives, tactical knives, so on and so forth. Now, for the longest time, I thought bigger was better, and to a certain extent, in certain situations, I'll be right. Keep in mind that the sword is the prince of weapons, but the king of weapons, at least in ancient times, was the spear. And basically what it equals out to, the more range you have, the safer you are and the more effective you are at taking out the other person. So, and there's certain situations that would contradict that, but in general, if you can touch someone without being touched, you're going to be safe, and they're not. So, when it came to self-defense knives, I liked 5.5-inch fodors or 5.5-inch fixed blades. I liked Navajas, and keep in mind, this isn't made in Spain, but this is the Coto XL Espada, but it is a Navaja. This is a Spanish Navaja, but this is a EDC knife. Basically, how they'll differentiate these, basically Navaja means straight razor, or straight razor, and straight razors obviously fold, and so in Spanish they call folding knives razors, or navajas, and it comes from the Latin word that means navicule, and I know I'm mispronouncing that. It's also where we get the term naviclite, which is Arkansas stones for sharpening knives, and it's also used to make knives or make blades with stone knapping or flint knapping, but naviclite isn't flint, it's naviclite. So this cool naviclite is used to sharpen knives and to make knives. It is the knife material, but in the grand scheme of things, in Spanish, this is a navaja, this Emerson. This is technically a navaja in Spanish. But for us Americans, English speakers, when we say navaja, we usually mean one of these or something like this. And there's more variants than that. But just a little factoid. Big navajas had a nickname, and I can't say it in Spanish yet, but it basically meant holy oil. So the joke was, if you came across someone with one of these types of navajas, then you're going to need holy oil to give you your last rites before you die, because you're most likely going to die, because this is serious. But yes, for the longest time I carried these knives, and I approached self-defense with a knife from a dueling aspect, i.e., you see the threat, you're able to get your knife out before the threat gets to you, and you can try to outflank and outtime the threat. And my brother's a big proponent of this, in this training method or martial arts method. But I have come to the conclusion that's not quite how reality works. And not saying that the dueling method in knife martial arts doesn't happen, and it doesn't mean that this fighting style is useless. It's not. You can definitely use it in certain situations. But when you're thinking about Western knife fighting, like the Manuel de Barato, or you're thinking about Apache knife fighting, Bowie knife fighting, Evert Fairbairn Sykes fighting methods, kukris. It's a it's a very specific deal where you see a threat and you get your knife out, and then you're both engaging each other with your blades out, and you'll try to outflank and outtime the other person. And as I alluded to earlier, I don't think that's how reality works. I think if someone's going to attack you, they're going to be very close to you. You're probably going to smell their breath, and you might be tied up. And I think if you're tied up with them, or if they push you, or are pushing you, or if you're on the ground, then something like a Bowie knife or a holy oil navaja will be very difficult to deploy. And I don't have a training folding Bowie knife. I have a training Bowie, but it seems like if you're on the ground and your shutter's pinned up against the ground, then you're not going to have a lot of room to maneuver to get this out. So it seems like Bowies, navajas, big knives are best used in a dueling situation, in a battlefield situation, where you're in a third world country, you're at a Renaissance festival, you're at a war battle environment where you're going to have the ability to pull this out and clear the sheath or clear the pivot and use this. But if you're in an urban environment, maybe a school environment, bars, restaurants, so on and so forth, it seems like a small knife would be ideal, because let's face it, if you just move your hand just a short distance, you can get this knife out. If you have a small fixed blade, watch this. The knife is out, you can literally use it. As opposed to now you can use this knife. So that's kind of my philosophy as of right now, that I believe that a smaller knife of decent blade length, and I'm going to say anywhere from, it's a little bit different with karambits because it's not a it's a cutting knife, not necessarily a thrusting knife. Not always, but most karambits, that modern karambits. But it seems like you need about 3.5 inches to get decent penetration, and 4 inches being okay, 5.5 inches kind of pushing it. That's going to be your best bet for defense against someone who's, basically grabbing you, making contact with you, and you can get to work. Now, I will say this, for people who still want to hang on to the Bowie knife, the navaja, the large folding knives, kukris and stuff, there is no doubt that this has more stopping power than this. Just like a AK-47, a AR-15, a 50 BMG has a lot more stopping power than a 9mm. But in certain situations, depending on the environment you're in, a 9mm is a much better choice in an urban environment, close quarters environment. Let's face it, you're not going to use a 50 BMG to clear a house. Not saying you can't do it, but the 9mm will be a better choice. That's where I'm at. Those are the illustrations that I'm using. Keep in mind that these illustrations are not 100% concrete. There's certain situations where a big knife is the better choice, but I think in most modern civilized society, I think a smaller knife might actually be the better choice as opposed to a bigger knife. Just like, I can get this into play a lot faster than I can get this. So that's my current philosophy on fighting knives or self-defense knives. I think a knife about this big, no smaller than this, is the better way to go in a brawling type of situation. And I want to make that clear. You're brawling, you're close quarters, you're making contact already, you've already been contacted. So it's not a dueling situation, it's a brawling situation that I'm trying to prepare for. So that's it. That's the video. Hope you enjoy it. Hopefully that was a lot shorter of a video than my original take. So that's it. I'm Asatsu5, and I'm out.